Hello, we're crafting. I'm late because I'm trying to get my camera to work and it's not. So I'm trying to see what is going on with it. I don't think that this is going to work, but that's okay. I think that I just need to try to delete some stuff because I know. I need to keep these. My timer. Let me go ahead and turn the timer on. Hopefully people are here. Hi, Sky. Hi, Crystal. We're going to be doing a podcast. Craft stream, but if I can't get this up, I guess this is the craft stream, so let me make myself smaller. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I think I used up all of my 9 lives earlier. I'm making a sweatshirt. Sweater. So I measured one of my sweatshirts I like, and I've been working on doing the gauges correctly and doing it combination on my mini Addy and my big Addy. I think it's going to turn out, but I don't know why I can't see the widgets. Yes, going to finish my latch hook. It's almost done. Love that, Karina. I'm trying to figure out why I cannot, for the love of sanity, see this. I know it's something, I know that it is a user error. I have no idea why though. Oh, was that it? Save. Save. Hello, Harper. This seems, let's see. Let me try this. It says I'm mirroring now to my Mac. Ah, there we go. Okay. Maybe this will work now. Edit. See, it's just black. It's like a permissions messed up on it. And I went into continuity. Automatic. I guess I can just do this though. And maybe I can change this to this. I don't know why I wouldn't have permissions though. You know what I'm saying? Camera. It's like it updated and then it ruined everything. Let's see, settings. Destinations video. I don't know what I'm doing. I can see everything, but I can't share it, so what a bummer. I'm working on my Animal Crossing. Love that. Why? Camera? I wonder if it's my cord. I wonder. Too bad I can't reach my cord. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and put the podcast up so y'all have something to listen to. And I will... Hello. Hey, Sam. I downloaded... if y'all could, if you don't mind... We are going to be listening to this podcast, a specific episode. If y'all wouldn't mind going and, at some point, you don't have to do it today, but going and giving her the courtesy of a listen. This is not pro MLM. This is a story about her leaving an MLM. So, yeah. I did download it because I thought it might be removed. So, we have it. Sorry, I'm a little bit jumbled. Today was a little bit meh. All right. So this is entitled "Why I Left My MLM." Hopefully it'll open up in my iTunes. And I'm gonna go ahead. The thing that's counting down is our cursing timer, so we're not cursing in the first 13 minutes of this stream. Oh yeah, heck yeah, fair use. Let me go ahead and do that. Crystal, I looked at Google. And I did look at Ecamm. It didn't mention anything yet. So use the center stage in studio light feature. You'll probably want a camera mount, blah, blah, blah. So general turn on. I have it turned on. On the setting app on your phone, then tap general AirPlay handoff. I did that. Mount the phone on top of Mac's. Oh, this isn't good though because it wants me to mount it on top of my Mac. So I can't do that if I'm going to stream it. And I normally just do it by plugging it in. Let's see. QuickTime. Maybe it'll let me do it through QuickTime. Oh God, where are we? New movie recording. Something is up. Hold on. Where did her picture go? Sorry, this is a flippity flop show. Craft stream. There we go. I'm gonna put myself over here. Oh, am I muted? No, I shouldn't be muted. Let me just press play.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Unlikely Pastor Wife. My name is Allison Moore, and I am your host for today. I'm so glad that you're joining me for this episode entitled Why I Left My MLM. I think it's going to be an important topic to cover today. And I have to say at the very beginning, disclaimer, the views and opinions shared here by myself are of myself and me alone. They do not necessarily reflect the official policies or positions of any company or persons discussed. Any content provided by myself are my opinions and my experience and are not intended to defame any company or individuals. So you know it's going to be an interesting podcast when you have to start with a disclaimer. So with that being said, let's go. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of The Unlikely Pastor Wife. I'm so glad that you're here. Before I start, two disclaimers. We live by an Air Force base, and so fighter jets are constantly flying over our home, which we love. But if you hear that in the background, that's what it is, all right? Hopefully you don't hear it. But if you do hear some noise in the background, it's because it's fighter jets. Secondly, so more important disclaimer. I know I did the disclaimer at the beginning and the intro of the episode, but I also wanted to be very clear about my intentions behind this episode. My goal is not to defame any one person, a company, call anyone out, nothing like that. My goal in doing this is to explain why I left the MLM I was in when I was very successful at doing it. And I feel like there are probably people out there in the MLM space that see things as I see it or are looking at getting out and they're scared or they're nervous. My goal is just to bring awareness and share my experience through like the lenses that I wear. So that is my first and number one goal. And a lot of you have followed me for a while on social media and things. And I took a huge pivot in 2022 with my life. And I've had so many people ask me. And so I thought, I'm just going to put out a podcast kind of explaining my story and why I left my MLM. So a little backstory. I was in the health and wellness space for 5 years, close to 5 years. And I had done this particular health program 3 times. So I had done it, I don't know, back in like 2011, 2012, 2011, I think. And then I did it after I had my son, right after, like 4 weeks after I had my son. And it was very unhealthy for me. I had to stop. And then I did it in 2018. I called my friend and I said, hey, I need to lose some weight. And she was like, great, let's get you on the program. So I was very, very successful with the program. And then I was really encouraged to become a coach. Like every other time we talked, she was saying, hey, you should be a coach. Have you thought about coaching? And I had seen my friends build a very lucrative business.
Her audio is incredible. I really appreciate someone who gives a crap about trying to make good audio so that people enjoy listening to an ears only kind of media, I'm trying to fix this freaking craft stream right now. I'm sorry. This is just not working out well. Let me restart my phone. Here we go. Let me press play on her.
Nice lifestyle for themselves doing this. So it was intriguing to me. So I just decided why not? If I can make a little extra money, you're told, if you become a coach, you're more likely to keep the weight off. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to make a little money to pad our budget. And I was successful pretty quickly in starting this quote unquote business. Now, let me just preface this by saying I'm using quotes when I say business, because if it was really my business, I wouldn't have to do a disclaimer at the beginning. I wouldn't have to just cover my legal aspects of I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not trying to defame anyone. If it really was my business, I could openly share and not have to worry about that. But it's not your business. You are a 1099 contracted person with these types of companies. And so you're not a small business owner. You've signed a contract. You are kind of owned by this company. So hence why I had the disclaimer. So just a little side note, when I use the word business in this episode, I use it just because it's the only word I know how to use. Okay. So, for me, I grew pretty quickly because I have, Ryan and I, my husband and I, we lived all over the country. And so even in the line of work that we do in terms of him being a pastor, we have a large sphere of influence, and we have high trust with people. And I feel like in these MLMs, I don't want to say target because that's a very strong word, but I think that you are pegged very quickly as somebody who would do very well recruiting people. Again, high trust, a large sphere of influence. I even heard of a top leader in the company I was in flying to California to recruit a particular person whose sister is her twin, and she's very popular and famous, quote unquote, in the Christian speaking world. So this top leader flew to California to recruit this person to coach because of the sphere of influence and the visibility that this person has. And so I think there is a pegging, there is a targeting essentially of people who would make good, quote unquote, coaches because they know they have a large sphere of influence and high trust with people.
Thank God.
So, to be honest, people have lists in their offices of people they want to recruit. I was on lists. So, and I don't say that to boast myself. I'm just saying I was on a list because I think of just who I am. I just live my life out loud. I always have. I'm unapologetic about that. Hence, I'm doing a podcast, So, I got
right, here we
started. I
go.
was just very successful really quickly. And so for
Whoa.
years, everything was going really well. I felt like I had found my niche and I was making really good money doing it. Okay. I was not one of these people in MLMs that makes no money. I was making 6 figures when I finally stepped back, which was the most money I had ever made personally in my life by myself.
Sorry.
And so full disclosure, though, I will tell you, most people make little to no money in MLMs. It's really hard to start. And honestly, it's hard to build this business for various reasons that I won't go into. But for me, I was loving what I was doing. I felt really like I just had found my space. I'd found my people. And then cracks started to surface and red flags started to pop up and dominoes started to fall in my thinking. And I couldn't pick those dominoes back up and justify why they fell. And these were kind of the red flags that came up. So the first red flag was a top leader left, like a tippy top leader on stage doing trainings. Like everyone knew who she was. She'd been on social media, promoting her business, promoting the program, all of this. And then all of a sudden she disappeared from social media. Like her Instagram and Facebooks were still there, but it was like nothing was happening on them. And if you know anything about these types of businesses, you're encouraged to post all the time. To the point where it gets annoying. I'm sure a lot of you following me have like unfollowed me on social media because of the annoyance that it is. But this person just disappeared. And then a few months later, she resurfaced with new social medias, like starting from scratch. And being the 8 on the Enneagram I am, I just went to her and I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, are you with this company? What's going on? And she was like, I can't talk about it. I was like, oh, well, that's weird. Why not? Well, a year later, practically, I found out this person had been under a cease and desist. So again, it's not it's not your business when you're slapped with the cease and desist, right? But before that, after I'd asked her and she said she couldn't say anything, I went to my leader. I went to my coach and I said, hey, why did so-and-so leave? Like, what's going on? And I was basically told almost verbatim, we didn't give that a lot of energy, time, or space. And I was like, well, what? Like, this person was supposedly your friend, like you're on the same level, like you're at events together. Like, I'm so confused. Like, I felt like she was dismissed, just like, she's not with us anymore. We're not talking about it. We're not giving space. We're moving on. Like, just disregarded. And that was like a major red flag to me because I was like, that's weird. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you can't say anything, at least just say, hey, I can't say anything. But to act like she was just disregarded and we're moving on with life, like moving on. I just felt like people were disposable and I didn't like that. So that was like the first red flag that came up in my mind. The second red flag, I watched LuLaRich and it's on Amazon Prime. And if you don't know anything about LuLaRich, it's a documentary about LuLaRoe, which is an MLM for clothing. The big, bold leggings, that was all the rage like several years ago. So it was about this company and their practices. And I went into it with a critical eye because I was still.
I also fixed the trombone issue from earlier. I mean, I've never done it before, but you're looking for a super chunky knit throw blanket. Send me a picture. Let's talk. I just, quit my job, so. Play.
In the business I was in, and I was like, I'm going to watch this because I'm just curious, but I'm going to go into it with kind of a critical eye of like, oh, well, that doesn't happen in our company. That doesn't happen in our company. But the opposite happened. I was like, oh, there are a lot of parallels. And I tried to justify them away, but I couldn't. So I was seeing some parallels and I couldn't ignore them. And come to find out, as I started to step away from this business, quote unquote, again, all in quotes when I say business, I found out a lot of coaches had actually watched that. And that was their catalyst for slowly leaving the business. And what's crazy is when you're in MLMs, they're going to tell you not to research anything, not to look anything up.
Yeah, so she specifically, what I think, and I'm just going to speculate here, if y'all don't know, these companies can be incredibly litigious. And if you are outweighed financially by a huge company coming after an individual person, I think that she had to be very careful with how she said things and not naming things. So, yes, Aaron, I think, did all the sleuthing for this and found that she was in Optavia, but if you look at the podcast by itself, it really could be any multi-level marketing story because of what you're about to hear. The amount of ex-Huns that began thinking about leaving their MLM after watching the LuLaRoe doc is crazy. It is a good documentary. Hey, Blaze Goddess. Oh, I quilt. Crystal. I'm actually going to grab a drink, so I'm going to press play. I'm going to turn my camera off, and I'll be right back.
Just listen to what the leaders say. Don't watch things that are negative. Don't listen to the quote unquote haters, which the haters are really people who just are like, are you sure? Is this the right thing? And so watching Lula Rich just like really was another catalyst for me being like, I need to take a closer look here. Like I really need to be aware of what's going on and pay attention to red flags. So some of the parallels that I noticed, and I just want to preface this by saying, I'm not going to say that I was in a cult, okay? But MLMs can be described as commercial cults. And if you do any research on them, you will see that. This is what, from my experience, what I saw as red flags. Okay. So the first thing was information control. They don't want you to Google anything. Just listen to leaders. Don't work outside the system. We've done it this way and we were successful. So you need to do it this way so you can have the success that we've had. Don't change anything up. Don't cross line. That was a really big thing. I remember we had gone to dinner, or we'd gone to somebody's house for dinner that was also a coach who was not in my specific organization. So she was like in another organization, another downline. And I got a call a couple days later from my upline. Let's just use MLM terms, upline and downline. They don't call it this in this particular MLM, but that's basically what it is. And so I got a call from my upline and she was like, hey, I noticed you guys were at dinner with so-and-so. I just want to make sure you're not cross-lining. And I'm like, what? What do you mean not cross-lining? Like, we're both in the same business. Like, why would you care if we're like having conversations about our business and what works for you and what doesn't work for you and what have you done? But it was like, no, we just don't want you to cross-line. And there was always this talk about not going to other people and talking about it. If you have a question, you go to your upline. If you want an idea of how to run your business, contact your leader, run it by them. They know if it'll work or not. But again, if this is your business, why can't you talk to who you want to? And why can't you run it the way you want to? But there was always this information control. Don't listen to haters. Don't Google anything. When you see these particular people posting on social media, you'll see they never say the name of the program. That's because they don't want you to go Google it. They want you to get on a phone call with them. They want to talk to you. Again, no Googling anything. So there was just like this information control that was very strange to me. And again, things that just over time, I was like, that's a red flag. Like, that's weird. You could never really bring up issues because it would be, quote, living below the line. And that's a big saying in this particular company. Don't live below the line, which is really a way of controlling info. So living below the line is living in negative thought, feelings, or emotions. So don't bring up negative things. If you do bring up negative things, we're going to gaslight you to make you think that those things aren't really true, or that's only you are having an issue with that. No one else is having an issue with that, And sometimes it's just like concerns are.
And just to like, I guess we can't really see the chat. I'm sorry. How are we going to do this? Let me see if I can change the widget. Can I change this widget? This widget? I wonder. I'm trying to see how to make the chat. I'm just going to turn the chat off the screen. It's too hard to see, and I don't know how to fix it right now, so I'm just going to make a judgment call and just take it off the screen. Sorry, guys. I promise I'll work on it this weekend. I mean, this week. Anyways, what I was trying to say is if y'all want to, I'm not trying to weaponize my following, but if y'all can support this podcast host, even though we're listening to this one on stream, it helps her, if her numbers go up on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever. I got this one from Spotify, but if y'all can support her by going and giving her a listen, she's very thoughtful, articulate. It's a pleasant listen to, and so if if you have time this week to go give her a listen, that'd be great. And I promise I'll stop shaking my camera.
Legit questions, but you always had to live above the line, which leads me to toxic positivity. And these are all words I have learned within the last year. Again, always being positive. I'll give you an example. So in 2020, there was a massive shortage of the product that...
Sam, I would, but it's through... I have to change the CSS and the HTML and the JavaScript on another page, and it's... I'm not fluent enough in it to be able to do it quickly, so I'm just going to have to change it for next time. But the live chat will be available after this stream. You can just pull it up on the side of the screen.
Clients were consuming. And people were mad that, they're paying a lot of money and their choices were so limited. And people were mad. Coaches were mad. Clients were mad. People were bringing it up all the time.
Sorry.
And we were just told, be positive, just be positive, steer the conversation away from that. Just constantly we're not going to talk about it, or the company's doing what they can. But people were really, truly mad. And when it was brought up, it was like, hey, as coaches, we got to be positive. Okay. Don't live below the line. We need to be living above the line and being positive about this. And you really none of the serious issues were addressed with, I think, transparency. It was just kind of not dismissed, but just hey, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to live above the line. Be positive. They would take comments off of the client page. So, if you're in this particular program, there's a client page, and if people had any negative things to say about the program, about the company, about anything, or just questions that might be perceived as negative, they were taken offline. And that coach was told, hey, your client posted this. Can you please talk to them? We're taking this online and we don't want this on the page. So there was not a lot of room for deep questions or real concerns. It was we got to keep the page pretty much positive. Okay. People could ask questions, but if they turned negative at all, nope, they're off the page. So again, a lot of toxic positivity. Another thing was love bombing. And again, words I've learned over the last year, a lot of love bombing. And what is love bombing? Love bombing is basically when you pour love or encouragement or support on somebody to make them feel a part of community to eventually manipulate them. And examples of this would be this.
Oh, you're good, Sam.
New clients or clients that have been on program for a while on the client support page. Coaches would say, you're doing so well on program. I think you should go post about your success and what you're going through on the client page. And so the client would be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. If it can encourage somebody. So they'd go and they'd, post what the great things that they were having happen. And behind the scenes, the coaches would have a thread saying, hey, I've been talking to this client about coaching and they just posted about their health journey. Can everyone go show my client some love? And so coaches would run to the client page and comment on that client's post and be like, oh, you're doing so great. Have you thought about coaching? It sounds like it's time to pay it forward. Oh, it sounds like you're going to make a great coach, and completely love bomb this person to make them feel like, oh, wait, maybe I should. All these other people are saying I should, maybe I should. And it was just, honestly, it's a manipulative tactic. And I saw that. I never liked the love bombing. I felt it was very disingenuous and contrived. I remember I would see coaches do it and I would message my friend who was coaching at the time and be like, oh my gosh, did you see so-and-so? They just asked us to go show love to their client again. But it was honestly just a way to manipulate people by showing them an extreme amount of love and support.
I mean, you're not wrong, Melissa.
And encouragement. And it's gross. It's just, in my opinion, it's not genuine. It's just manipulative.
I'm sorry, Carly. Carly said Optavia has taken over my very small town in Georgia. Population 3,000. I've been invited over 5 times. Wow.
There was a lot of gaslighting. Not only I'm going to talk from the coach side of things, but if your business wasn't growing, it was always your fault. And it was said, you either have an action, a skill, or a concept. It's either an action you're not taking, it's a skill you don't have yet or you haven't honed, or it's a concept that you have that you can't move past. But sometimes it's not growing just because it's not. People don't want the program. They don't want to become a coach. They see that it's an MLM. They see through it. But you could never mention that. It was always, you're not doing enough. You have something, a concept that you're hung up on that you can't push past. There's a skill you need to work on. You need to do more personal development. It was always you. It was never from the side of, I can understand that. Yeah, I can see that the market is probably pretty saturated right now with coaches because they want everybody to be a coach. How that is sustainable in the MLM model, I'm not quite sure. Because if everybody's a coach or, how is this going to be sustainable forever? It doesn't make any sense. And so there was a lot of gaslighting. There was a lot of gaslighting too, just with clients. Like, if they were having some type of reaction to the program itself. I've never heard anybody have that problem before. What happened? What did you do? Did you do this? Did you do this? No, maybe it's just the program. But it was always your fault. It was always the client's fault. And that to me, I saw that so much that I just was like, no. We have to stop gaslighting people. A lot of spiritual manipulation. And guys, I want to be very careful when I say this because I know there are people who are going to listen to this who come from a background that isn't faith-based. So please hear me when I say I'm going to talk about things that are faith-based here just because that's my lens. That's the world I come from. So just disclaimer on that.
I appreciate how respectful and clear and communicative she is in letting people know, like, hey, this is my bias, this is my lens, and I want to let you know, like, where I'm coming from so that people have context and a place to be like, okay, thank you so much for the heads up. I appreciate that because we don't really get it with other people, for sure.
From my experience, my opinion, there was spiritual manipulation. There was a lot of, God calls Christians to make as much money as possible. I don't see that in the Bible. But when you're in this, it's like, oh yeah, he does. I'm gonna hustle to make as much money as possible. I just saw that as a justification for wanting more wealth. When in reality, I think most people are called to live a simple life. And I have said this when I left. I'm like, I think I'm called to just live a lot more simple than what I was chasing or what I was wanting. Having more money doesn't mean that you're more generous than somebody with less money. But there's this manipulation in, like, if you're making more money, you can be more generous. Well, I know a lot of people who make very little and they're very generous. And I could use examples in the Bible, like the woman with 2 mites that gave. And Jesus said, she gave more than the rich person that gave because she gave all she had. But there was always this rhetoric about, you need to make as much money as you can so you can make the biggest impact for the kingdom. And it just was I felt spiritually manipulative. More money doesn't mean more mission. But there was always that like equation there that it does equal that. And it doesn't. So I had a hard time with that, and can Christians be wealthy? Sure. They absolutely can. And I actually have a whole podcast I'm going to have Ryan do with me about this. I already have all the notes written out. But, you can be wealthy as a Christian, but there are so many more verses in Scripture that caution people to how money can be crippling and a danger to the believer.
So I'm making for the front and the back. What's this? This is so like squishy and like soft. So I'm putting 12 of these together. I already had the front done. This is cast off thread. And, but it's like super squishy, like a sweatshirt material. and then you stitch them together. And so hopefully it'll be cool. And then the sleeves I'm going to do later. So I'm just going to keep working on these panels.
And so I just felt like spiritual things were used to manipulate your desire to work the business and want more for your life. That's what it was. Don't you want more for your life? God's called you to more. And it just is a way of using spirituality to manipulate people to work the business more. I think personally, God's called us to peace through him, not through money. But money was always like the end goal in all of this. And saying things like Christians should make the most money possible, I think is a form of spiritual manipulation, in my opinion. And I didn't like that. And I was like, I can't be a part of something like this where that tactic is being used. So all things pointed very, I'm not going to say it is, but all things pointed to kind of cultish behavior. And it was tons of red flags.
Exactly.
Tons of red flags. The next thing I saw was the ego of leaders. And this is going to be a tough one for me to talk about, but I have receipts from a particular picture that a coach posted that I'm going to read verbatim,
oh my God,
word for word. I pulled it up on my computer because I want to make sure I don't say anything wrong. I'm going to tell you exactly what the coach said in this post. Now, let me first say, because I have these pictures pulled up, because I want to do it justice, but this is from a very high ranking coach, maybe one of the top ranking in the companies. He has a high sphere of influence. People listen to what he has to say, and he has a lot to say about everything, which is fine. I do too, whatever. But people just follow him, and he is this mouthpiece. And so when he posted this, I was abhorred. I was absolutely abhorred. So it's a picture of his dad's doctors and nurses, and he apparently took his dad to the doctor and then slyly took pictures of these people. They're not thin, okay? They're not, but this is what he said in the post. I posted these pictures and captions to my story earlier today from an experience I had yesterday when taking my dad to his doctor. It really pissed a few people off for me calling out the truth and the elephant, no pun intended, in the room. So I figured I would post it here also. And then he did like a weird emoji face. My first problem is the elephant comment.
Oh, shoot.
It's so, it's bad enough that he posted pictures. Yes, he put emojis on their faces, but then to say, reference elephant in the room, no pun intended, with a weird emoji face, which is basically him saying like, oh, no pun intended, but is it really? Now, I will say he did go back and delete the elephant in the room comment on that. So I guess we can applaud him for that. But he posted these pictures. He's calling out our healthcare system and using these people as an example, okay? It was highly degrading. But it wasn't just that. It was the fact that then somebody in his private message messaged him and said this, and I have screenshots, and I'll tell you why I have screenshots. Someone messaged him and said, I agree with you 100%, but it's unsettling that you're posting these folks' photos. Respectfully, I'm saying you can make your point without that. So someone respectfully came to him and said, hey, I agree with the message, but the method is probably not right. It's not okay. And this is how the coach responded. I blocked out their face, rolling eye emoji. Apparently that's his favorite emoji. Mind your own business or feel free to unfollow me. I don't need your negativity in my life.
Oh my God. I don't need your negativity in my life? What?
First of all, that person gently calling you out isn't
in
being
private.
Negative. They're calling you out because you did something wrong. You did something really degrading to people. And he's gently calling you out. He didn't say it on your post. He private messaged you. He did it in private, privately calling you out. And this coach, just in his ego and his lack of humility, was like, unfollow me or mind your own business. I don't need your negativity in my life. Because that's what it is. If anybody says anything that creates any cognitive dissonance, you're a hater, you're negative. Again, the toxic positivity thing, this is an example of it. But it didn't stop there. He then screenshot this interaction and posted it on his page again. And this is what he said.
What? Are you serious right now? God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't mean to like pause it right before we get to the interesting part, but holy shit. Oh, love that, Karina. I hope you have a better day tomorrow. And it's so rude to take pictures of people just doing their work. Gosh, you need to cease and desist.
That's how I have the picture. Because how would I? Because it's a private message. He posted it.
He freaking posted it.
This is what he said to this interaction. The coach did. This is a small sample of the type of BS, but he said the word, I deal with on a daily basis. Can't please people, folks. Whatever you do, say, or post, they will have issues with something. They will pick it.
No, you did something shitty, sir. Mocking people who give up time with family, who work below potentially what they should be paid in an industry that is understaffed, and then using their weight as a selling point for people to join you in your opportunity, sir. Yeah, someone does, and for someone to say, hey, you know what? You could have made this point without showing pictures, and then he's like, oh, poor me. Someone's always going to pick on me. Get over yourself, dude.
And you apart. If you are doing big things, expect to get shade from...
Karina, I'm making a sweatshirt sweater. I have the front done. I'm basically making fabric. Like, it's super squishy. So then I'm knitting. I measured one of my sweatshirts that fit, like, incredible. So I made all of the same dimensions. And then I'm making the panels. And then I'm going to make the sleeves and the cuffs and stuff. And it's not the best yarn, but it's super soft. And I have a ton of it.
From people doing little. Oh, I'm such a victim. Don't let negative people slow you down. Keep going. Also, I don't normally respond to people, but sometimes it's just fun. So
sometimes it's just fun to publicly shame someone who tried to give you the respect of coming to you in private. Sometimes it's just fun, dude. Seriously?
It makes me so sick even reading this all over again. Okay, he becomes a victim. Again, you're a hater. You can't please everybody. This is what I get on a daily, like such a victim mentality from someone gently calling him out. And then he goes on to say, if you're doing big things,
I know sometimes that we try to be mindful of throwing around victim mentality. I think that she is saying that he is playing something that he is not. And he absolutely does not get to say, I'm the wronged one here. He absolutely does not get to say that.
Shade from people doing little. Again, I'm so great. I'm so grand in the scheme of life. I'm doing such amazing things. This person is doing very little in their life, and so I'm getting shade from them, basically because they're a hater. They're doing little in life. And he posted this for everybody to see. Look at me. Look at how I respond to people. Lack of humility, immense ego, and narcissism. And it didn't stop there. What really was the linchpin for me, because I really don't expect anything less from this person, if I'm being quite honest. I think that their true colors show up like this, and they let little things out like this, and it really shows who they are, how awesome they think they are, and how narcissistic they are. But the problem for me was that coaches licked this up. You are so right. These were the comments. You're so right. I'm so glad that you will say things that other people won't say. Real talk with the person's name. And I was like, wait, does no one see what I see? There were a few people that publicly called him out.
Good.
But not a lot. Not a lot. And I was so, it was abhorrent to me. I keep using that word because I can't think of a stronger word. And this was it for me. This was the linchpin where I said, I'm done. Because no one's going to call this person out. And if they do, they're called a hater. There's zero room for any accountability. and the narcissism and the ego and the lack of humility. And like I said, this person's true colors came out here.
Hell yeah,
They want to show themselves big and grand and like they're this humble person. They're not. This showed the true colors of this person. And I was done when I saw coaches with no discernment licking up everything this person said, because they want to be in the in group. They want to be in the pictures with this person. They want to be sitting at their feet learning. And this person loves that, thrives on it. And I was done. I was like, nope, this is not what I want to be a part of anymore. And so this was the catalyst for me, or the straw that broke the camel's back. Honestly, it really was. The ego, the narcissism, I couldn't do it anymore. It was so gross to me. And more than that, there were other things.
I don't know who she's talking about. You'd have to go look up the Facebook post. Go watch Erin Bees' live. She brings up this podcast. And also, I honestly don't know. And I don't want to get anyone into hot water by bringing up names that would give them fire or ammo to target someone who went out of their way to keep names out of their podcast to try to not get sued into oblivion. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'll look it up myself, but I honestly don't know who they're talking about at this point in time.
The coaches that were constantly on and off the plan, the nutrition plan, they say it's lifelong transformation, but clients and coaches alike were always gaining the weight back and having to use the program over and over and over again. It became disingenuous. You cannot say it's not a diet if you're always using the same products and always having to lose the last 15 to 20 pounds you regain when you stop using the plan or the products.
Hi, Igor.
And it was said all the time, if your waistline is growing, your business is shrinking. Your body becomes the billboard for your business. So there's always that pressure to not gain weight, lower your body fat percentage, always be working on some aspect of your health, and it becomes exhausting. And honestly, it becomes an idol in people's lives. They're constantly chasing lower fat body percentage. They're constantly chasing better health. They're constantly chasing the best body they can get so that their business continues to grow. Because again, if your waistline is growing, your business is shrinking, and that is set on trainings.
If your waistline is growing, your business is shrinking. Wow. I cannot wait to get one of these Optavia Zoom calls. I can't wait.
And if you do happen to gain weight, there's incredible shame. Because again, if your waistline is growing, your business is shrinking. I've said it so many times now. You always have to be a product of the product, and it's a never-ending cycle. Health became a virtue and something you were always chasing. And in my opinion, it becomes an idol in people's lives. It becomes the top priority in everything. And it wasn't a life I wanted to live.
That's awesome.
As a coach myself, I never felt competent in coaching clients. I felt competent. I didn't even feel competent, but I felt like you were constantly talked about recruiting people, but you weren't really taught how to coach clients. The people who label themselves as health coaches are not qualified to give any health advice. They're selling you a program, and they aren't taught or qualified to give any advice except how to help you continue on the program so that they can rank, or they can get a certain paycheck, or they can make a lifestyle for themselves. And I know that's hard to hear, but I felt like everything was driven by money.
Yeah,
that's the end goal. Use this as a tool to get you freedom in your life, even though you have zero qualifications to help anybody with their health. I had zero qualifications. Now, I can be a cheerleader. I can encourage people really well. Sure. But when it came down to, what is it called? Brass and tacks or something like that? I don't know. Is that a horse term? I don't know. I couldn't help people past a certain thing. I remember I would tell clients, I think you need...
And let me just be clear on one thing. If you're saying something true about someone else, from what I understand, that's not disparaging. So, like, truth, from what I understand, and I'm obviously not a lawyer, truth is the ultimate kind of defense against defamation. And we've listened to this podcast for 40. Wait, I don't know. How long have we been listening to this? 31 minutes. What have we heard that is not based off of things that the person, so like we heard about the post that happened with the screenshots that the individual shared. She hasn't named the company. She hasn't named the person who did that. She didn't name the person who was the target of the person calling out this big leader. But she was reading from their own post. And like what has she said that's been disparaging? Nothing. At least to me, there's nothing that's been said. She's going out of her way to be nice.
More than what this program can give you. You need like counseling. Like this is not going to solve all your problems. You need something besides this. Or even not this. I fired clients all the time. Dude. I'm like, this is not for you. You need to stop doing this.
What am I
had to because I couldn't just like keep telling people to do the product so I could make money. I couldn't do it.
I can undo too, I guess.
There's always this proverbial carrot that's dangled in front of your face in MLMs, and particularly this one, and that is the carrot of freedom. Freedom in time, freedom in finances.
I got to do too.
Yet the problem is that you're always filling a bucket with a hole in it. Clients come and go. Coaches come and go. You're told that the people you have on your team now won't always be there. So to always be filling that bucket, always, you're always having to prospect, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. This is not a nooks and crannies job. You're always prospecting. You're always looking at people. Do they need the program in their health or in their finances? How can I help them with this program? This program is not the end all be all to everything.
Good for her for saying that.
And it just became exhausting. And again, I use that analogy as you're filling a bucket with a hole in it. It's water's coming out, you're filling it with water, and it's this perpetual cycle. And yes, there are a few people who will fill their bucket up and it will stay full. And those are the people at the very top. That does not happen for most people. Most people, they're filling the bucket constantly, hoping and being told your bucket will get filled one day. You just have to talk to the right people. You haven't talked to enough people. Your bucket will be filled. Just keep going. I know people who have done this 7-8 years and they have not gotten the proverbial carrot that has been dangled in front of their face, and they're exhausted. It's because the system is not going to work for 99% of the people. 1% of the people will get that bucket filled, and that bucket will be probably filled forever. But the 99% of people, that bucket is just going to keep draining, and it's a perpetual cycle of filling that bucket with a hole in it. And it's exhausting for people. And you don't really have the freedom and time because you're working all the time. You're on trainings, client calls, boot camps on Saturdays, connecting with people on social media and in real life with nothing in mind but for them to become a client or a coach.
I'm gonna have to
People
redo
say
this
they
whole
get to
thing.
work from anywhere,
Forget
but
it.
they have to work from everywhere. And I'll actually talk about that on my Hustle Culture podcast that will come out in a few weeks as a follow-up to this. I don't want to work from vacation. But that's the integrated life. You want to live an integrated life where work and family and fun all collide. No, I think that's actually, I'm getting into my Hustle Culture podcast. I got to stop. I'm going to give you all that content now. I don't want to do that. You're going to have to come back to hear it. So I'm not going to go into that part. You'll have to come back. Let me move on. Relationships became transactional, and I didn't like the inauthenticity of that. I battled that for a long time, looking at people and if they needed the program in their health or finances. Like I said, everyone's a prospect. And I was tired of looking at people through that lens. I just wanted to have like relationships with people without it ever turning transactional, without ever thinking, oh, they might become a client or a coach. Like, no, I just want to be your friend because you're fun and I like being around you, not hoping that you're going to join my team someday or that you're going to become a client or you're going to whatever. I didn't want that anymore. And if you aren't doing all the things I just mentioned, you aren't doing the work. I'm saying that in quotes. So again, it's part of that gaslighting. It's your fault that your business isn't growing. It's not the fact that people may just see this for what it really is and don't want to be a part of it. But if you aren't prospecting, if you aren't looking, if you aren't creating relationships with people that might eventually become a coach or a client, then you're not doing the work. I remember one time I was told, you should be calling one person every day and inviting them to coaching. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. That's so weird. If someone called me and said, hey, I have a great opportunity for you, I think you'd make a great coach, I'd be like, no, thanks. I mean, but it was always like, well, pretend like you're hiring and you get to pick the people. No, this is not like that. This is not a hiring situation. They really have to do a lot of work and have to buy into all of this to even start. And that's really hard. So no, I'm not going to call somebody every day. But again, that was, oh, you're not doing the work. Well, that's work I wasn't willing to do. Never. I was never willing to do that. And they talk about freedom a lot. You can find hashtags, and I'm not going to name them, but there's a bajillion having to do with freedom in your time, freedom in your finances, freedom in your life. Yet
again, another instance of her not doing her best to not point people to the company. She's gone out of her way to try to not target the company that she left. Literally. That's just the way I see it. Maybe that's not the way other people see it, but we've seen so many people leave their organizations and trash their company, and we know exactly what company they're talking about. That's not this case. You have to kind of look. Sorry, I'm trying to not show my feet. Oh my God. All right.
My freedom isn't in my bank account, and if I have a 9-to-5 job. That's not where my freedom lies. And I'm going to preach a little bit right here. So if you're not a faith-filled person, I'm sorry. You can fast forward a couple minutes. But my freedom is in Christ and Christ alone. And when I see top leaders in the company who proclaim to be Christians, and I'm not going to sit here and say they're not, that's not for me to decide. That's between them and God. But when they're preaching freedom from a program as opposed to freedom in Christ and Him crucified, it's a false gospel. It's a false gospel. It's the prosperity gospel masked as something different. It's the prosperity gospel masked as a purpose and freedom. And I was not going to be a part.
Again, just as a more backstory, she is a Christian. She is the wife of a pastor. They seem to be ethical, and decide for yourself. We're respectful of people here, and she really woke up to the bad parts of multi-level marketing and is trying to speak out and help others. And this is her belief and her faith, so I don't know. If you want to mute me while she's talking, I'll try to raise my hand when she's done. If this is not, if you don't want to listen to it.
Part of that false gospel. It was not something I was going to be into, a part of, nothing. My freedom is not in whether I have a 9-to-5 job or if I have to clock in and out, or if I can go on vacation whenever I want, or I have enough money to hire out every single thing in my life to make my life easy. That is not where freedom comes from. Freedom comes from Christ and Christ alone. And if I have nothing, but I have Christ, I have everything I need. And that has been hard for me because I like nice things. You guys, I like nice things. I like designer. I like going on vacations. You guys, if you followed me for any amount of time, you know I like nice things. And there's nothing wrong with liking nice things. But when that becomes your sole goal and that carrot that's out there to be chasing for your whole life, it takes away from the gospel of Christ. And that in Him, you have everything you need.
Yep.
And I was not going to play into that any longer.
That's awesome.
Let me also say this, the 9-to-5 thing. People, and this is another thing I could not stand behind. People were encouraged to quit their 9-to-5. Don't you want to retire? Don't you want to retire your husband? I remember going to Cabo, and a gentleman got up. This is on one of these trips, and a gentleman got up and he said, when I come back from this trip, I have to sign my contract for next year, but I'm not going to. I'm going all in with this business.
Oh, shit.
And people stood up and clapped and cheered, and it was like, yes, all right. And I looked at Ryan, my husband, and I said, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. That's not a good idea. I couldn't clap for it. I couldn't. And 8 months later, my husband's golfing with this gentleman. And he says, hey, I know that you quit your job. And how's that going for you? And the guy told my husband, I regret doing that. This has not grown like I thought it was going to. I'm going to I'm going to have to go back to work next year. I'm going to have to go back to what I was doing. Like, it's like the most shameful thing to have a 9-to-5. God forbid you have a job that actually gives you benefits, retirement, vacation time. I don't know, whatever. But you can vacation whenever you want if you have your own time freedom. Yeah, well, there are a lot of things to be said about a 9-to-5 job. People having purpose in that too. Not everybody can be a coach and quit their job. We still need teachers, doctors, nurses, pastors, all the things.
Yep.
Okay. So this constant thing of, don't you want to quit your job? You don't want to be tied to that. I never liked that. I remember people would always ask me if Ryan was going to, come join me in the business. And I was like, no, he's not. First of all, I never wanted him to because I knew that this paycheck was very up and down. But also that's his calling. His calling is ministry. I'm not going to pull him from, well, what we do is ministry. No, what you do is sales. An MLM is not ministry. I'm sorry. It's not.
Finally, someone said it.
I never bought into that, quit your job, 9-to-5 thing. No.
Yeah, and exactly, Sam. It's been amazing how she's been so careful to hide the name of the company. So classy. If anyone from OptiV, we already know because we've done some stuff on Aaron's Live. It wasn't for lack of trying that we found out the company because of what the uplines did. Because of what the uplines did, not because of what she did. So your independent contractors dropped the ball. I will say that. Any run from OptiV illegal or whatever, it's on y'all. If you listen to this, how can you say anything other than this is incredibly? She did her best to not rag on your company or bring anybody's names into this.
I even had heard leaders say, we want people to quit their job because then they're going to go all in this. Well, yeah, because now they're tied to it and they burn that other bridge. I think that's manipulative. I don't like that. I didn't want to be a part of that. I absolutely did not. And more importantly, I couldn't stand behind the desire for more all the time. Do more, have more, be more, zero contentment, always hustling. And honestly, I saw it as greed masked and justified as abundance mindset.
Oh, someone else said it.
And it didn't coincide with what I believe as a Christ follower. I didn't want to always or never have any contentment in my life.
We see this all the time.
Contentment is finding joy in what God has given to you. The opposite of contentment is greed, which really destroys your capacity to enjoy what God has given. You're always needing more. That paycheck isn't enough. You need more. That weekend you have off, no, you need more. It was that vacation you had, no, you need more. It was always more. I remember multiple times hearing, if you're making $6,000 to $8,000 in this business that I was in, okay, so think about this, $6,000 to $8,000 a month, okay? I was making more than that when I started to leave. When I started leaving, that year I'd made over $100,000 doing this business.
Wow.
So I didn't leave it because I wasn't making money. I just want to clarify that. I was in my mind, I was successful, but this is the thing.
She was successful.
You're told if you're making $6,000 to $8,000, you're in the danger zone because you're gonna get too comfortable. Don't you want more? Don't you want freedom? Don't you want to make 12, 15, 20, 25, $1 million? What do you want to make? Because $6,000 to $8,000, that's the danger zone. I mean, if you think about it, $8,000 a month is like what, $96,000? That's not enough. You should be discontent with that. You should want more. And again, it's greed. It's just flat out freaking greed.
At least someone said it.
Masked as freedom and
mad respect for her saying it. $87, $88. I'm trying not to lose count. Hold on. $89, $90. Okay.
abundance mindset. And I was like, I can't do this. My soul and my spirit was not coinciding with what I was in any longer. outside of all of that, I just want to talk about the program itself and how it affected me. And again, this is my opinion. This is my experience. Okay. I'm coming at it through that lens. The program destroyed my metabolism. I went to a doctor. I'm working with a doctor now. And I went in and I said, hey, I'm gaining weight. What's going on? I'm working out. Here's my food log. And he's like, well, what have you done in the past? I told him. He was like, Allison, you have obliterated your metabolism. He's like, you were basically starving yourself. 800 to 1,000 calories isn't enough for a toddler to live on. He's like, your basal metabolic rate is so low now that you can eat like a normal person, 2,000 calories a day, and you're going to gain weight because you have taught your body you can live off of 800 to 1,000 calories. So anything over that, it's gonna store it as fat. And I was like, well, crap, that sucks. So he's like, you have to be okay with you're going to gain some weight while we repair your metabolism. And I was like, wow, that's really hard to think about, but okay. So I'm now working with an actual doctor, okay, who knows what they're talking about, not a coach that's just peddling a program, but like an actual coach or an actual doctor that knows what he's talking about, who's helping me boot my metabolism. So I couldn't promote a program anymore, where people were thinking they were going to find a solution to their health issues, to only possibly, in my opinion, in my experience, maybe have that cause more health issues down the road. And I've been listening over the year to experts in nutrition and doctors that specialize in this, podcasts, articles, scientific research that shows that I have destroyed my metabolism with this thing. And now I'm paying the piper for it. And it's not because I wasn't disciplined. It's not because my habits got out of whack like they want to say. No, it's because the program could potentially be slowing your metabolism down. So you are always going to have to use it. You're always going to have to. That's why coaches constantly go back to it. And it's a sad situation. And I want to wring my neck. But you know what? With everything you learn and you grow, and it's been a learning process and a growing process for me. So I will say, as of today, I'm no longer a part of this business, this company. Last year, I said this, when I took a major step back because I saw all of these red flags, I was making over $100,000 a year. I did not quit because I wasn't making money or I wasn't successful. I quit because my soul and my spirit was not aligned with everything that was being promoted. And I know I'm going to be called a hater for this. Just like I said, that coach that posted all that stuff on his page, if you say anything that causes cognitive dissonance in anybody, you are labeled a hater, you're negative, you're living small. I mean, you guys, I could have looked past all of these transgressions in the name of the almighty dollar, but I couldn't. I absolutely couldn't. And I also just couldn't stand behind a business model where people became like pseudo celebrities in this world and people wanted to emulate them, all in the name of health, but really it was in the name of wealth. Health is the beard. Health is the mask.
That was
but the
so
underlying
good.
goal was to create wealth for yourself.
Pseudo celebrities. Wow. There's so many good sound bites in this. Sorry, my whole camera setup is shitty.
And I started becoming like that. And I was like, I don't want to be like that. I could have just looked past it all. And I could have, for a while, last year I was just collecting residual income with very little effort, but I knew I wanted to start the year off fresh and not have that tie anymore. And so for me, it was a matter of I'm giving up this massive paycheck. Okay. Most people, $100,000 a year, that's amazing. But again, you should want more. That doesn't give you true freedom. Don't you want more? No, I don't. I want to be at peace with myself. I don't want to live the prosperity gospel, the false gospel of freedom. I didn't want to do that. So I said, I'm out. And this is not an easy story to tell. And I will probably sacrifice friendships for this. I've been blocked on social media. I've been unfriended. The people I thought were in my life no longer are in my life. And that's sad. And
cool.
When I started speaking out against diet culture, I had a lot.
Karina, send a picture. I I don't remember if you're in the Discord. Can you send it to me on Instagram so I can see what it looks like? Chiefs just won. Love that.
A lot of people just asking me questions. And there's a cost for me telling my story. I know that. I know that there is a cost, and I understand that. With that being said, if you're wanting to lose weight or get healthy, whatever that means for you, because we can't immediately look at somebody and label them as healthy or not healthy. And I'm going to talk about that in my diet culture podcast. It's ready to go out in a couple weeks. So hustle culture is coming, diet culture is coming. If you're wanting to make changes to your health, talk to a nutritionist, a doctor that's not just going to peddle a program to you, like really get down to what is going on. Find something that is sustainable and that isn't lining the pockets of people who are profiting off of your vulnerability, your insecurities, and your desperation. I heard coaches say when people are desperate, they'll come to you. That's gross. That's predatory and it's manipulative. I don't want to prey on people's vulnerabilities or their insecurities or their desperation just so I can create freedom in my life with wealth. No, thank you.
Oh my God.
So I've had to repent and ask forgiveness for my role in equating physical health to spiritual health. And if I've ever offended you or caused you to look at yourself in a negative way, I apologize. I ask for your forgiveness. If you had to unfriend me.
This is shockingly refreshing. And here's why. What multi-level marketer have we heard apologize? I mean, ex-multi-level marketer. Maybe Aaron. If I have offended you, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Holy moly. How refreshing. Cool. Awesome, Celeste. I'm going to make another one. So I'm definitely going to be doing some more crafts because like doing all of the heavy multi-level marketing stuff, it's been like just so like heavy, you know? And so I'm like, we're going to craft the shit out of this here. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? Like, mad respect for someone who's a Christian who actually like has ethics and morals and doesn't sacrifice on people on the author of profit. How refreshing.
Or unfollow me on social media for a while just because I was obnoxious. I apologize. I'm safe now. Okay? I'm safe now. Come back to the fold. I think people who called me out on some things early on that I didn't listen to, but now going back, I think about what people said and I'm like, oh yeah, they're right. Oh, I hate being wrong, you guys. I hate it, but sometimes you just have to put your big girl panties on and admit it. So, in the words of Maya Angelou, I will leave you all with this. She said, when you know better, you do better. And so now I know better. So I'm trying to do better. Take care of yourself, friends.
Y'all, I'm shockingly surprised at that podcast, like in a good way. I was a little nervous to listen to it, only because it's been so heavy the past few days with Optavia and Jessie Lee Ward, and it's just been wild. Did you know that Brian Underwood, the CEO of Prove It, liked my tweets when I tweeted him to look into what his distributor did in Colombia? And yes, I did spell Colombia wrong. I spelt it with a U instead of an O, but I at least like added it to the thread. I'm very bad at spelling. I'm super sorry. And I did not mean to offend any of my subscribers or people who watch because I'm a shitty speller. The people who reached out, thank you so much. I say that with genuine, like, thank you for letting me know. I've corrected where I could. I corrected on my YouTube, the unlisted video, and I added a note in the Twitter thread. Her podcast name is right here. It's the Unlikely Pastor's Wife podcast, and she has such a pleasant voice to listen to, and I'll let you know if I hear of other... I don't want to take away listens from her, if that makes sense. So if y'all can go leave her a review on either Spotify or Apple to like help her out. I don't want to reveal too much about me sharing this podcast on my platform, but I have been trying to do it as respectfully as possible. So if you can, and it's not too much of a hassle to go give her a review, that really helps her out. And if we're, for someone who took accountability for their actions and is trying to actually live their, faith out without manipulating people, I think that's really cool. And I think she actually legitimately has a good podcast with great sound and good things to say. So, thanks, Sam. She has me all giddy. Yeah, what a great podcast. Yeah, I mean, how shocking to say, like, you know what? I was wrong. I'm sorry. Will you please forgive me? Not, I'm sorry that you took it the wrong way. She was like, I'm sorry. Will you please forgive me? What a game changer. You know what I'm saying? It's freaking wild. In a good way. In a good way. How long have we been streaming for? 1 hour and 15 minutes. Gosh, I want to keep crafting, but maybe I should let y'all go. I'm going to have like 3 craft streams this week, so what I'm going to do to give her the shade. I'm going to go ahead and close the stream. I know it was a very short craft stream. I will do more this week. And again, if you can, if you're on the replay crew, much non-culty love, thank you so much for watching and listening. I will put her podcast in the description. Actually, let me do that right now so that I don't forget. So if y'all want to, I'm not sure if Spotify or if Apple is the better one to go to, but Spotify, I'm going to put, I know I'm shaking so much. Okay. I'm going to put, let me put the widget back up. I'm going to put, hi Coda, the Spotify link and the Apple link. If y'all wouldn't mind giving her a review, because it will help her out. Share. And I'm going to tab YouTube. I'm just going to do this real quick on stream so that y'all can click over easily. Mute. All right. I'm going to edit the video. And I'm going to let's see. I don't like to manipulate but I am going to ask if y'all could do that. I'm just grabbing both links to try to make it easier for you. Apple Podcasts. I think probably Apple and Spotify are the biggest ones. I'm just see if she's on here. Hold on. I'm just gonna, I don't think she's on Apple. Hold on. She's not on Apple. It looked like she's just on Spotify, so if you can give her a good review there, that'd be great. I just saved it. It should be in the description now, so if you refresh the page, it'll be there. I hope y'all have a good rest of... Oh, keep crafting. Okay, cool. I might come back later. I'm probably gonna hang out with my spouse a little bit. So I just I'll probably be back later to do stuff because I'm anxious, so I'm gonna keep crafting later. But I will see y'all. I'll see y'all next time. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you. If you got to the end of this stream and actually like it, I'd love for you to like the stream. I don't like to ask for it at the beginning. I know some of y'all are great and lick it in the beginning, but if you actually liked it, I'd love for you to like it now. I really appreciate it. And you can figure out if you like my content and want to follow me. I'm kind of all over the place, but appreciate the support. I'll see you later.